So in this video, we will learn the transformation of the quadratic functions. So you will become expert in the transformations. So in just 5 to 10 minutes. So don't skip the video, just watch till end and become an expert. Now starting with the concepts now. Now what do we understand here? So the function fx is given. So it is a times x minus p squared plus q. So what does a, p and q represent? So how the function, how the graph looks like? So first we start with a. So a represents the vertical stretch by a factor of absolute a, we write. Like if we have the value of a, let us say something as -2. So when we take the absolute value, so we'll just take it as 2. So we'll then write only 2 here if you have a as -2. But if a is positive, let us say a is just 3, so then absolute value of 3 will be just 3. So in that case, you can write the result here as 3. So how do we explain this? So whatever the value of a is, we'll write vertical stretch by a factor of absolute a about the x-axis. So you should be always remembering this statement because this is the standard statement we use. And sometimes, like if a is negative, in that case, include one more statement that there is also reflection in the x-axis. So here we have written SRT. So this is very, very important. So always remember, first we will do the stretch. So always the explanation should be in this order. So first we will describe the stretch, then we will describe the reflection, like the stretch, reflection if there is any, and then we will describe the translation. So translation, so what this represents, so S is the stretch, R is the reflection, and T is the translation. So we have here described A, which is the stretch, and now if A is negative, then you will include this statement, but if A is positive, then ignore the statement. Now continuing with the concepts now. So now we see the p value. So what p represents? So p is this value. P can be sometimes positive or p can be negative. So if p is positive, so we have taken this case, and if p is negative, we'll consider the second statement. So now what it represents? So p always represents the horizontal translation. So it is horizontally translates, we write. Here also it's horizontally translates. So in this case, like if we have the p value, let us say we have the p value as +3. So we'll describe it as then the graph horizontally translates 3 units to the right. Okay, so here we are understanding concept. So if p is positive, we'll just write p units to the right because it is horizontal. So it can be either towards right or towards left. So, and if p is negative, then the graph horizontally translates. So we write absolute because if p value is, let us say here we have p value -4. So when you take the absolute value of p, so it becomes 4. So we write 4 units to the left side. So this is very important. If p is positive, so in that case it will be right side translation. If p is negative, it is left. Now continuing with the transformation concepts. Now we go to the Q part. So Q can again be positive or negative. So just remember that Q is going to represent the vertical translation. So vertically translates either upwards or it translates downwards. So graph vertically translates downwards. So when we understand here in the form of some number given like Q, so if Q value is something, let us say 5, which is positive. So we'll consider this case. So we write then the graph vertically translates Q units upwards. And sometimes if you get Q as, let us say -10. So we'll write Q is negative. So we'll go to this statement. So then the graph vertically translates, so absolute Q. So absolute value of Q will be just 10. So we write 10 units downwards. So when the word vertically says, so vertically means the graph can either go upwards or it can go downwards. Now again remember this thing which I'm writing in the slide. So it is SRT. So very, very important. So this order has to be maintained, that whenever we are describing the transformation, so first thing we will describe is the stretch, then comes the reflection, and then translation. In the translation case, you can either first describe the horizontal translation and then vertical, or you can just change the order for these two, but not these ones. So just remember, this is again very important, which will make you expert in this thing. Now we take the first example in which it's given describe the transformations for this function. So this function is given, so we always compare it with the function which is the standard form, which is fx is equal to a times x minus p squared plus q. So always we compare it with this, and then if you see a value is 2, so we write a is 2. Then we check here, so we always take the opposite sign. So p will be, so here it is -3, so we take always the opposite, so 3. Then q is 7, so for q we take the same sign. So for understanding the concepts for this one, like how to take the values of a, p and q, you can always refer to the previous videos to understand this. Now coming to the description of this, so we start with a is equal to 2. So whenever the a value is given, so we write it is vertically stretched. So I'm abbreviating it, vertically stretched by a factor of, so it's positive, so I'm just writing 2 about the x-axis. Now going to the next one, we see here p value. So p value is 3, so which is positive. So we always have to check if it is positive. So now we just see it is positive, so we are going to choose the one statement only, because the two statements were given under the concepts. So when p is positive, so we'll write this as horizontally translated since it is positive, so 3 units right. Now the next one, when we check, so it is q. So q is also positive, so we write q is again positive. So whenever q is positive, so we say it is vertically translated 7 units up. So just remember that we are not writing both the statements which we were covering in the concept. So it is just the statement which is applicable that will be written along with it. So A was positive, so we only wrote one statement. And you can see the way we wrote here. So first was the stretch. There is no reflection. So no reflection, so no need to write that. And then this comes the translation. So always the order which we were discussing, so it should be maintained. If reflection is not there, you can ignore explaining it. If sometimes the stretch is not there, you can ignore it. Like if you have sometimes A as 1, we can just skip the stretch part then. Then ignore the reflection part if you don't have the value A as negative. So pause the video and try this question and then see the answer on the next slide. So see the answer here and then you can check it. So here you can see it is S, then since it is negative, so we have explained R, and then both of these are T. So thank you.